So this is my seventh book. I'm trying to keep track. I've written The Commandant's Girl, and my books are largely inspired by my years working for the State Department in Poland on Holocaust issues back in the 90s. So lots of work with all the issues that remained from the Second World War, and I also became very close to many Holocaust survivors, and that really inspires all of my books. And my latest book, The Winter Guest, is the story of twin Polish sisters. They're 18 years old, and they're struggling to raise their younger siblings in a mountainous village during the war. One of the sisters, Helena, finds a downed American paratrooper, Jewish American paratrooper, in the woods, and she secretly hides him and helps him back to health. And as you can imagine, this development just complicates their lives in all sorts of ways. And it was inspired by true events that I learned of both during my time at the State Department and also my time at the Pentagon before that. Before I write the book, I have an idea or something that's sparking the book. So let me give you a couple of examples. This book, at the beginning, it's set, the prologue set in the present day, and there's an elderly woman in a nursing home, and she's confronted by the police about some bones that have been found in rural Poland dating back to the Second World War, and whether she knows anything about those bones. And that begins the story during the war. And that was inspired by when I was at the State Department. Many times bones were found in Poland from cemeteries that had been destroyed by the Germans, and those raise a lot of complicated issues. So that was one inspiration. The other inspiration was that when I worked at the Pentagon, I was able to travel to World War II commemorations around the globe for the 50th anniversary, and one of those was a cabin in the mountains in Slovakia, where a young Slovak girl had helped the partisans and the paratroopers. And so that was an inspiration. So some of what I do at the outset comes from these sort of ideas. And then the research really comes afterward. You don't have to research everything before you write something. You figure out, okay, I need a bit of research on this or a bit of research on that. So for me, some of it is instinctive and comes from my background, and then I have to dig deeper for the research. And then, of course, there's questions of what do you bend about history for the sake of fiction.